Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm joined by Jack from Cæsar Inc.
Hello.
And we're going to be talking about Doomsong, the multi-award winning RPG. So it's great to have you with us.
It's great to be here.
Before we get into Doomsong, which people may have seen a bit about on the channel before, hopefully. Obviously you've been involved in the games industry for quite some time, working freelance and working with various companies. But this is your first project that is solely your IP that you were working on with a small team.
Yeah. So
how was that?
Very freeing.
Yeah.
I love working on IPs and lots of sort of stuff out there, but there is something sort of very precious and very cool about working on your own game and your own world. The world was created by my sister-in-law, Morgan, and then a lot of the illustration and the designs and stuff. A lot of them were done by Maritz Krebs out in Germany, but a lot of the other ones were done by Chris, who people may know as doing the comic and stuff around OTT. So it's very much like a family company, and it's our like little bubble and our pride and joy. Newest member of the family, Doomsong.
I mean, one of the things that strikes me about the game, if I grab, that is the actual game.
Yeah, so this is the special edition, sort of in limited quantities, and we sell it basically at conventions and stuff.
Obviously, I've seen things like Labyrinth and Dark Crystal, which were sort of heavily influenced by design and game mechanic philosophy, that sort of thing. They are gorgeous books, relatively small compared to these. Is that the sort of thing you mean by freeing then, that the constraints of a company going, we want you to do a game, but we need to have it a certain way. It needs to be this page count or whatever. Kind
of. It's a sort of, so when you're working on a license, you've sort of got this very fixed thing that's also hugely inspirational and sorts out a lot of problems sort of from step one. It's like, okay, here's the world. People know about it. You don't have to present it to people. You don't have to teach people about it as much because if someone's picking up the Labyrinth RPG, they probably know a little bit about Labyrinth and what they're looking at. Whereas this has the you have to actually tell people what is this world and introduce it a lot more sort of rigorously. But on the other hand, when we have something that we want to design mechanics-wise, we can change the world to suit and make things work in a way that suits the game and say, okay. So, for example, the way the witches sort of work in the game is they're sort of a pact with a traitor god, one of the pantheon that killed the immortal and started this whole apocalypse deal, which is like a hugely flavorful world thing. And then when we were going into the mechanics, we sort of could tweak how they worked and make sure they have different sort of realms of expertise to give them cool different flavors of magic so that the players would have these like things to mess around with, which is like the biggest difference between like religions in the real world and religions in fantasy worlds is you can tell the difference because the fantasy one will make sense and have like logic in some way, whereas like a real world religion will be like, oh, this god's the god of horses and also the ocean.
Sure.
Why not?
Because reasons.
Yeah, so in that sense, hugely freeing to like work on your own world because you can sort of make it perfectly designed for the story that you're telling and the game that you're making.
So actually diving into Doomsong then, I've seen it described as being a lore-heavy RPG, and more so in miniature game, I suppose, these days, but we see an awful lot of very generic rule sets popping up, and these are the exact opposite of such. How long did it take to develop this? Because this clearly is a labour of love. They're two massive tomes, both the rules and in the campaign itself. It's not something that grew up during the campaign. Was there months/years put into it?
Yeah, so the sort of thing that came first was the adventure, Lord Have Mercy Upon Us, which is kind of its own little part of the world, the plaguescape that Pestilence has ripped out of the world and is basically causing the Armageddon, the apocalypse. It's a very biblical apocalypse. He's the Pestilence first horseman. And so that sort of was created first. And then sort of the wider world created as a way to basically set that in and make it shine, and also set up the other adventures that we have sort of coming up. So we've got Thou Shalt Not Suffer the Witch coming out on Kickstarter in October. You should follow it. And essentially what that means is that there is a lot of lore, but we've constructed it in a way like it's almost concentric rings of lore. Like, hey, here's the Plaguescape, and it's almost all adventure and stuff you're interacting with and playing and doing, because at the end of the day, nobody cares about lore if it's not like directly affecting them. Like, so this here we've got Modron, a giant snake that winds through the trees of the forest of Modron, and like you care about them because they're a giant snake who, if you piss them off, maybe they'll come down and end your lives.
Chomp someone.
But like they're a familiar of life. They're a part of the sort of tapestry of the world. They have this place in the sort of mythos. But you don't need to know that until you face them or deal with them. So our sort of approach to lore is like, we want to know the answers, but we only really want to present them in the context where they matter and they're a gameable thing.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things when introducing anybody to a fantasy RPG or a sci-fi RPG is trying to give them enough information so they believe that they're part of the world without overloading them with all the minutiae. And I suppose it's slightly easier to a certain extent because of the character creation in here and the world itself. So if we talk about the character creation first, currently everybody is a gravedigger, and they are recruited from past ills, shall we say. They've reached the bottom rung. Yeah.
So for anyone who's not aware, it essentially works like a choose-your-own-adventure story where, you know, you roll to find out where you were born, and then you make a choice, and then a life event will happen that'll sort of send you spinning off in a different direction. Then you make a choice, and sort of you build up this life story of like why you joined the guild. And there's a load of sort of lore-specific stuff in there, sort of world like stuff that doesn't really like work in a different setting. It's very much Doomsong's character creation. And what that means is that, so if you become a witch of a traitor god, like you learn a bit about that traitor god and suddenly you care about this little bit of lore.
Yeah.
Like rather than sort of overloading, hey, here's 16 gods that you need to like learn the proper nouns of and all of that stuff. We're saying, if you roll it up during character creation, first of all, you're going to care because it's like a thing that your character cares about, and it's an element that's not only giving you magical abilities, but also like motivation and all that stuff. So like you're motivated to learn a little bit about that character, but also like it's this little secret that now you care about and you have sort of personally. And the same with like the rat catchers and the Knights of Lethe and sort of all these little bits and pieces that you kind of learn a little bit about if you roll them during character creation. And that's the only time you need to worry about it. Whereas, you know, something else that has sort of class systems and stuff, it's like, okay, read these 10 classes and learn what their vibes are, then pick one, which can be a lot of sort of front loading of information.
Yeah. Also, the other thing it does is it gives you hooks for your character for you to play upon. So you go, well, I'm ex-military. And then something terrible happened, and I ended up becoming a bit of a scribbler somewhere because I was slightly highborn. But you can see the sort of descent, and through these things, you're getting your character, you're getting an idea of the backstory, and you can go, okay, that gives me something to play off. And like you say, in a system that has classes, everybody's rolling 3d6 at the start and then adding them together, and you go, I've got a block of numbers on a page, but I still don't know who the character is and how it interacts with the world. You've got to do the work to sort of make that fit, whereas what we try and do is just fill the backstory with hooks that you can say, like you can spin in any way you want. Like, you know, if you're a soldier, you can say, oh, was I sort of press ganged into this, or was I, you know, a patriotic, starry-eyed youth? Or are you a Richard Sharp or a Harry Flashman? You know, are you a daring-do adventurer or just a bluffer? Things like that come up very well. And then that is then added to the sort of the guild charter, and the group is then formed. So you don't have the awkward, you're all sitting in a tavern, how do you know each other, or how did you get here? It's like, you are grave. Here's your shovel, sign this, now we need you to go there and do something.
Yeah, and so that bit's sort of, it's like the very end of character creation is, and so you joined the guild. So you're all definitely there. And in Lord Have Mercy Upon Us, that's the Gravediggers Guild. You are gravediggers, and you are there to dig graves and sort out the unquiet dead who are getting out of graves and causing a problem. In Thou Shalt Not Suffer the Witch, you are witchfinders. So it can really give the whole campaign a different vibe.
Yeah.
So you are a different guild, you're more well-funded, you have a lot more authority. You're the witchfinders. When you rock up into a village, like, you know, the guy with the biggest house in town moves out and lets you stay in their house, and
that's his only right and proper.
Exactly. Like, you know, you get free drinks, and everyone's on their best behavior around you because you have the literal authority to burn someone. Like, which is a very different vibe from the sort of, oh, we're all grubby gravediggers who are just like disrespected and trying to like...
You put them in the ground last time and they've got back out.
You did a bad job.
Did a bad job. Get in there and fix it. That's interesting. The other thing is with Gravediggers and Lord Have Mercy, it's very medieval in that people don't really sort of travel much. It's a very closed-in world. You're exploring the world as you go. It's not like you know what's happening continents away, or I have no idea how the world of Pain actually sort of rings out in the round. Will the new book then be shuffling into somewhere else away from the Plaguelands?
Yeah. So we are exploring the second horseman, famine. Essentially, the hook is that you're the witchfinders who are set up in Cocytus, which is sort of the breadbasket of Panem. Verdant farmlands and all these sort of sources of food and wealth. And there is various famines that are basically brewing. The crops are dying, the cows and dairy are like milk is souring, and it's all gone wrong. And the church suspects that there might be witchcraft afoot, and at the same time there is a prophet, a holy man who is wandering around and causing these miracles. So you're there to verify the miracles. You're there to say, like, first of all, miracles don't exist, right? Any magic comes from heresy. Any magic is the traitor gods, because the one true god, the immortal, is dead. So this must be heresy. But there's also that like slight niggling in the back of the mind of, well, what if it isn't? What if it's a miracle? What if it is true godliness? So your job is to basically go out and kind of, using the rules of the world, find the scientific explanation for the thing. I mean, the scientific explanation is someone's a witch and they're using their traitorous magics to cause whatever this is. So kind of because we've got this law and this way the world works, even though it's a very medieval understanding of the way the world works, like, you can do mystery solving and investigation and like rely on information in that world to mysteries and pin whoever you want to burn as a witch. Or you could just point at the first person who pisses you off. I
mean, it's a good way of doing it. It's always good to... It's that, do you want to rule through fear or love? And one of them is much easier to do. And it's the one that requires kindling all the time. But yeah, walking into town and just setting the first person on fire is a good statement of intent.
So there's a really fun mechanic in it, the witch trial. So essentially it kind of works a bit like the combat in the core game, where you're essentially going through rounds, and each player chooses what they want to present. And the players play as basically the defense, the prosecution, and the judge, and also the executioners. And what that means is, and they also decide guilt. You can basically say, this guy's guilty, we're not going to give you any evidence, we're going to burn him. But at the end of that, you basically roll to see what the reaction of the town is. And sort of the first time you do that, maybe the reaction is, like, the next town's not going to trust you. The next town isn't going to, like, they're going to see you as these horrible people
who are... They'll no longer open their arms
and
give you support and succor.
Yeah, Whereas if you go, this guy did it, and here's all the evidence, definitely a witch, and definitely, sacrificed people to their god and caused all the famine that you guys are struggling with, and like, if you can convince everyone, and then you burn them, then like the town might even reward you and be like, oh, great, you've saved us. Everything's going to get better. It won't get better. but the reaction is this sort of, like you have ultimate authority, but there's also consequences to like abusing that, unlike the real world.
Which, I mean, it sounds like a lot of fun. Everybody wants to be a witch finder. We've all seen the films. And you get a magnificent hat, I assume, as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, big hat, buckle.
So, obviously, the first Kickstarter needed to get the game and then the campaign as well. This one is just the campaign. Is it going to be a smaller, tighter sort of thing? Or
so we'll be offering the core book and Lord Have Mercy as well. But the game itself is going to be a single book, same size as Lord Have Mercy Upon Us, with some sort of bits and pieces around. So there'll be a cloth map of Cocytus, a new Doom coin for famine, as well as a candle.
Yeah, this is not a candle. This is the master.
This is a lie. This is the master. This is a printed sculpt of what will be, and we'd need to tweak size and timings and things, but this is the design of the sculpt. And so this is a candle that at the start of your first game in Cocytus, you light the top of the candle, and at the end of each game, you blow it out. Start of each game, you light it, and it will essentially be a timer for your adventure. And you'll see that there's like various lines that when the candle sort of reaches those, something will happen in the world. I'll not give away
something good.
Something good. Yeah, everything actually is solved once the candle runs out.
It scales down here, balance. That's always good.
Exactly. Yeah. And so you've got this like real world ticking timer alongside the sort of in universe timer as things are getting worse and things are sort of dragging closer to essentially where the first adventure, Lord Have Mercy Upon Us, starts. So that's like the part of the world has already been ripped out and turned into the Plaguescape. This is set in Panem. It's a bit more sort of grounded in the world and the societies, but things are getting weirder and things are getting pulled in different directions and everything's sort of bubbling up and becoming a horror show.
Well, I mean, it's my favourite type of show. I will say one of my favourite campaigns for any RPG is The Masks of Nyarlathotep. And it has a campaign timer in it that the players don't know about, but things will happen. And because they can visit any continent in any order and they get multiple leads, they could be off in Africa when something horrendous happens in Asia. And this is similar in that there's a ticking clock, but it's really represented this time because while they may not realize what the ticking clock is about, they can see it going down. And I like in-person role-playing anyway, but also the fact that's burning while they're doing all their stupid things like their first witch trial, they go off on a Monty Python tangent for 20 minutes or whatever it happens to be. And at the same time, you're just going, you really should ask the questions because you don't have as much time as you think. I'm assuming it's not designed to burn for the entire campaign. Or is this the sort of thing you're talking about timings? You're going to have to work out what wax and wicks and stuff to try and get a relatively good...
We've had a chat with candle makers and essentially how long it should last. And it should last like 50, 60 hours. Okay. So that is sort of a fair chunk of your campaign. And kind of we're hoping that it'll create a bit of a time element of, actually we should be getting on and trying to sort of push through whatever we're doing. And so when it runs out, whether that's the end of your campaign is kind of up to you. But basically some big things will happen in your world and things will get a lot more dangerous in your campaign.
What could be more dangerous than the apocalypse?
I guess it's sort of less investigative and more catastrophic and like survival-y.
Put the books away. It's time to gather swords and load pistols. Yeah, it does sound fascinating. I'm really looking forward to it. I have the first version anyway, the Lord have mercy on us, we only just started the campaign with my little group. But they are stunning books. It's a really interesting world to play in. And I want to see how all the horsemen come together in the end over the next number of years. Hopefully we'll see this all develop. And maybe when the grand apocalypse is wrought, Cæsar Inc. can move on and find a new home to play in and work to burn.
Something with sunshine and roses. And
then it all burns down. Great talking with you. The site is already up, or the Kickstarter campaign is already up to be notified?
Yes. Yeah, if you search for Doomsong 2 or hit a link,
it'll be in the doobly-doo.
In the doobly-doo. Then click follow. You'll be notified of all the updates and when we go live.
Smashing. And if you've not already seen, there's Let's Plays. We've done Let's Plays. Jack and the folks at Cæsar Inc. have done Let's Plays. A whole host of people have. You can see what the game is like online. I think the character creation tool is online as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we'll throw that in the doobly-doo as well.
Because it's great.
The Doomsong character creator online.
It will give you a really good understanding of who you're playing and what the kind of world is like for the first book anyway. We'll move on. If you've any questions, drop them below and we'll pass them across and hopefully get you an answer. Bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.